Connecting to the internet.
Internet.
Networking software.
World Wide Web thing on a computer today.
Computer.
Net Surfer Pro.
I am going to turn on this podcast. I know it's going to have so many episodes. I missed my beat. I missed my chance to complete this song. That's my impression. Did you like it?
I really like your cake impression. It's very good. May I give it a go?
Yeah.
Hey there, I'm a delicious pastry that you can eat.
Wait, hold on. I think we went into the wrong office.
Oh yeah, you need the other cake door. It's the third one from the left. Now, not the second one. That's a different cake that you cannot put on a podcast.
Very good, very good.
Hey,
am I late? I'm devil's food.
Get out of here. This is an angel food house.
That's it. I'm going to the other cake room. The fourth from the left.
Goodness.
That, of course, refers to Cake Assault, the second best Rivals of Aether player in the world. Yes, so this is Net Surfer Cake Surfer Pro. We
Whirlwind ride to the worldwide cake.
Yes. I am your host, Matt, and with me is, as always...
Cakelin.
Very good.
That's the best mashup I can come up with, Galen and cake.
Yeah, I didn't know where to go with mine. I think, now that we're out of the theme month and week, we have lost any sense of normalcy or routine. And so we are clamoring and crawling, which I composed into a portmanteau of crammering, like that Pokemon, to find our way up through this this whole sort of hole, I guess you could say. Basically, my point is that we're back to our regularly scheduled programming for now.
Which means the theme is what we want to talk about. And that's kind of it.
And what we want to talk about this week
is cake.
Yeah. Specifically, I'm going to go into the fact corner now before we formally introduce our topic.
Yes.
The fact corner.
So, Cake was formed in 1991, sporting an ensemble of guitar, bass, drums, trumpet, and vocals, of course. Their first album was self-published, and afterwards they signed to a few different labels. Their first album was, I believe, Motorcade of Generosity, and then they had a few albums after that, and then around 2001 they signed with Columbia Records and released Comfort Eagle, which is the album we're talking about today. Their main breakout hit was The Distance, which was a single off their second album, and that, I believe, peaked at number 1 on the Billboard alt-rock charts. The lead single for this album, Comfort Eagle, the lead single being Short Skirt Long Jacket, charted 7th on Billboard's alternative charts, and I believe the album upon its release charted at 15th or 13th. One of those teenth numbers. Something you could really sink your teeth into. So... it's like, I kind of want to start this just by saying that, the albums we've covered in the past have been, very culturally important, I guess. Since I Left You was sort of a seminal work ringing in a new era of music production. The Mouth series is a kind of internet media popular mashup album series that continues to set standards. American Idiot was a very powerful protest album that really sort of showed or really sort of dug into the warmongering of America. And Floral Shop was also a genre-defining work. This is not any of those. It is a good album, though. It's not like how would I put this? It's not
It didn't define a new genre in the same way that a lot of the other albums we've done have done. Although there is slight crossover with Neil C. Riga because the starting line
Oh yeah.
does involve Cake's breakout hit.
Yeah.
But like this is an album that you may or may not have heard of before, and if you haven't, it's not like we can exactly blame you.
Right.
You know, if
It's not-
somebody hadn't heard of American Idiot, I would be surprised.
Yeah, it wasn't meteoric in culture or in like music history, but we like it enough to talk about it on an episode.
Yes.
And that's why we're talking about the fourth album by them and not the first, because it's just the album we particularly like.
Yes. So I want to give a little bit of backstory of me listening to this album. I was introduced to this album through Matt. Specifically, I, at one point in, I believe, high school, had to borrow Matt's laptop and managed to rip a lot of the MP3s of Matt's iTunes library for my own purposes.
Yes.
And then put them into my Google Drive. And so that's actually how I have access to, I believe, American Idiot, as well as Everything Goes Numb, Folie à Deux, Comfort Eagle, and I think there's one more that I can't...
The Suburbs?
It's probably not... I think it's the Jonathan Colton, best hits.
Right, yeah. I was going to say, because I did also own The Suburbs and AM, the Arctic Monkeys album, at the time.
Honestly, this episode was just sort of spurred on because I was re-listening to this album to and from work recently and was like, you know what? I want to talk about this. There's a lot of very, very good things to talk about. Cake is very good at lyrics, at the very least in this era. I can't say anything about today. I assume they're still good, but I haven't listened to any other Cake.
Yeah. So, Cake, sort of their style, they have a very distinct style. Part of that is due to their instrumentation. You know, I mentioned that they have a trumpeter in what is otherwise a typical rock quartet, and that leads to a lot of sort of like Latin influences in the instrumental roles. The trumpet is like a major melodic part. Additionally, I believe Comfort Eagle was the first album where they really sort of leaned towards keyboard sections. There's a few songs in this that are very prominently featuring keyboards. But otherwise, like, the actual genre they stick to is kind of hard to pin down. They have a lot of, like I said, like, influences from all around the world in different regional forms of music, to the point where it's hard to really call it one thing or another, especially because every album sort of, you know, they can have, like, the quintessential truck commercial song in the distance, but then, like, their other, like, breakout single, Short Skirt, Long Jacket, is sort of this, like, more poppy sort of bass leading style.
Yeah. Arco Arena especially kind of, I think, shows the like, variety in that before Comfort Eagle, there's an instrumental called Arco Arena, which is, like, it's very, like, I don't know if I want to say, like, Arabic influenced. It feels like the kind of song that plays in a desert, like in a D&D campaign taking place in a desert during traveling. It
uses just like the acoustic guitar as the main melody, but it does kind of have a sitar-esque sound.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like a video game song at times. It is kind of interesting, though. I was going to say this for later, but since we're bringing it up, Arco Arena, so on the album it's an instrumental, but it says like Arco Arena brackets instrumental. This is because there is a version of the song with lyrics, but it's reserved for like live performances and special things, because the lyrics are about the Arco Arena, which is a real place. It's a basketball stadium in Sacramento, home of the NBA team, the Sacramento Kings. And it's just about basketball. Like, the lyrics are just like going in circles, pass the ball, shoot to win. Like, I mean, it's okay for me that they didn't put that on the album. It's not like what is it called? I think Flogging Mollies have a song on one of their albums that's just about a Boston hockey team.
that I don't know if that ruins or makes the song for me now. Like
Yeah.
I love the instrumental, but like I love the idea of the basketball team song that's just like pass, shoot. It's all in the mind.
Yeah. It's definitely sort of a tense instrumental, though.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine putting the lyrics to the song due to the way the atmosphere of it already is. But that's the only instrumental song on the album. Most of them have lyrics, of course, and the lyrics are very sort of prosaic at times. I think this is most notable there's a few songs, but I think the second song on the album definitely has like a very prosaic sort of verse to start off with. The song "Meanwhile, Rick James."
Yeah. Do we want to start at the top and work our way down? Because I have a lot of comments about a lot of these songs.
Sure, yeah. So let's actually back up to the first song.
Yes. So the opener is Opera Singer. It's hard to describe the like music sound of it, because like you hear the title Opera Singer, you imagine maybe it's very like big, very, very sort of, a lot of production, a lot of like space in the song, but it's actually kind of reserved. Like the opening percussion feels like you hit a percussion, like the give me a drum beat button on a keyboard.
Yeah, it sounds like a drum machine rather than a drum set. And it has like a the bass guitar in this is this very like funky like
You're welcome to any future YouTube poopers who would like to use that as a source.
Yeah. The trumpet is very like playful in this song.
Yeah.
Very colorful. It feels almost like a festival at times, like a celebration. It's very upbeat.
So, the lyrics of the song.
Yeah.
My interpretation of the song is that it is about politicians. It is, or at the very least, it is about a politician, but through that abstraction, multiple politicians.
Yeah.
So, the like, quote-unquote story of the song is that it's about an opera singer. The opera singer is, the first person, and like the first verse is sort of just about, this is just sort of my job. I go through the motions. I stand on painted tape. I play both good and evil parts. Then the second is sort of like, the social aspect, where like he describes that, he's up by 10 a.m. He does a lot of rehearsal, and a lot of people are very divided on what kind of person he is. And then it's sort of like it keys, like it gets into the dirt of it a little bit, with the my talent feeds my darker side, yet no one will complain. And then after that verse, it kind of like expands the scope of the opera singer. So it talks about how people stand around just to tell him that he's great and they love his voice. And then the second to last verse is like, I am an opera singer. I will sing when you're all dead. I sing the mountains crumbling apart. I sing what can't be said. And my interpretation of the song is effectively that, like, that specific line is basically like a, I will be alive far past my own death. And I feel like a lot of the lyrics just sort of point to using metaphor of opera singer as politicians. So, I stand on painted tape, I play both good and evil parts, and it's my job is to go through the motions of, something that has been set for me. My rehearsals last for hours and hours. I have to, keep making sure that I don't say the wrong words. And some people call me monster, some people call me saint. My talent feeds my darker side, no one will complain. It's a very, like, abstract take on people are very divided on me, and I have a darker side to me, but so long as I am going where I need to and doing my part, quote unquote, no one will really care.
Right. I mean, so the song goes out of its way to contrast, like, a good and evil side repeatedly. You know, there's, like, the line that's like, I call my co-stars brother, I call my co-stars names, or, like, people call me monster, some people call me saint. It very clearly puts this divide of, like, you know, good to some people, horrible to others. In a way, like, to me, it just feels like any sort of divisive famous figure could fit that role then. Somebody who is, you know, very split as far as people's reception, but is able to get away with a lot because they're famous. There's sort of the feeling that they like being a villain and they like having those evil roles, but they even more so like the fact that they can indulge in that side with it, like, not only doing so legally, but also in a way that's respected and praised. I think for me, a lot of Cake songs, it's very easy to go for like very basic, like it's about this. Not to say that's what you did, but I feel like you could make a case like the opera singer is money. Money exchanges hands and it does, you know, whatever people ask of it. It moves around a lot. It's known all over the world. It plays for emperors and kings. It's gonna be around longer than most people will live. You know, case in point, human history. It has by far a lot of awful uses. People are very divided on money's actual worth as far as like, what's it called? Like morally. But I'm not sure if I find that reading satisfying for myself.
I will say that that people stand around and wait just to tell me that they love my voice and just to tell me I'm great does. I like the mental image of basically a Mr. Krabs person. Money. I love you, money.
Yeah. So the other thing is that I kind of like picturing, so this is the, you know, the first song on the album. There was a bit of like turbulence for the band before this album came out. Like their third album was getting kind of low reviews. A lot of people were thinking that they might be a one-hit wonder. So I almost take this song to be sort of autobiographical to an extent, of like the singer John McCrae being like, I treat myself and my job as a singer as more of a performer, you know, and I treat the stories I tell as me being an actor. And it's sort of like professing this like regimen in order to just provide entertainment, if you will.
Yeah.
It works very good as sort of like an opener, not only because I think the like muted drum machine percussion at the start is a good like entry into the album, or as in like, you know, a good beginning to the album, but it's a good intro to the album because it also just kind of sets the tone. Like there's going to be songs that are very kind of mushy, and there's going to be songs that are much more scathing and almost villainous when told from first person.
Yeah. It sets up sort of like, this is the style of prose you can expect, but it also doesn't go like hard one way or another into like villainization or holding up, so that you don't listen to this first song and go, oh, this is going to be a protest album, in the same way that you listen to American Idiot and go, oh, this is going to be a protest album, or at least a very, you know, critical album.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
do
we want to go on to the second song?
Yeah. So as I sort of said before, this kind of has the most directly sort of poetic writing, I feel like. Just the first verse.
Yeah, this is like the hardest to parse song for me, honestly. Like maybe second only to basically the next song. But it's also just, it is so like catchy, and the prose is so good that I don't mind that I'm not entirely sure what it's quote unquote about. In the sense that, and like this is, all of these songs do not have one concrete meaning to my understanding. But like, it's a little hard to parse like what the meaning is to me.
Yeah. I think it's sort of like, so the very first line, disempowered the scattering flock, dances a fever at the castle rock, just kind of indicates restlessness or sleeplessness. The flock being like a flock of sheep, disempowered because it no longer brings sleep. If we take the chorus at face value, then it's about like somebody who was just broken up with, and he's lamenting over the loss of that girl he liked. That sort of loss of love or whatever.
Yeah.
There's this whole line of like, I don't know, going over as an uninvited guest and like scraping around at your house and swimming in a pool. Swimming your kidney-shaped pool, by the way, is a really great line.
Yeah.
Because it's like, swimming in your kidney is sort of like just drinking alcohol. That's something that would swim in your kidney. And then it's like, oh no, it's a kidney-shaped pool. That kind of generic backyard pool design. Yeah.
Yeah. Fawn Joe and Tootsie. Hang on a second. Yeah, I'm curious. I literally never knew what that lyric was.
Yeah.
And like, is that someone? Is that like? Fuck. Is that someone related to Rick James? How did Rick James really die? Oh fuck. So Rick James is a singer-songwriter who released an album called Come and Get It, produced the hits You and I and Mary Jane.
There's an old YTMND meme with Rick James.
Oh, You're the Man Now, Dog, right.
Yeah.
I had to pause for a second. Wait, Rick James did Super Freak, apparently.
Super Freak.
Anyway, so going back to the song, I think the way I might, like my reading, if I had to have one, would probably be like a little darker. Like, it might be about abuse of power and there's nothing you can do, but that also could easily be like just the perspective of a post-Me Too world. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. So at the end of the song, it says like, there's meanwhile, Rick James takes her nude and there's nothing I can do, nothing I can say to you. But then like one of the last lines is, I guess I've got a lot of work to do. That to me feels like the singer, the narrator, is like coming to terms that they had a hand in the breakup of this relationship and that they need to like improve themselves.
Yeah.
If the rest of it is some sort of like way of coping or a sort of depressive episode, that's just the kind of acceptance.
Yeah. And I guess I'll leave it up to you as kind of the fully excising, like, I understand that you're no longer in my life, so I guess that, I'll leave you to your life.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that look.
Yay, we solved it. Next song, Shadow Stabbing.
Put that song in the trash. So, Shadow Stabbing. I like this song a lot. So, the like, music of the song is very bouncy, it feels. Like, the opening is very bouncy. The verse feels a little more restrained, but like it still has an energy. And then when it gets to the chorus, it sort of like explodes that energy. And I feel like, to me, this song feels like quite literally like somebody writing, like somebody is, creating something. I think it literally mentions a typewriter at some point. Yeah, the first line is
adjectives on a typewriter.
Yeah, adjectives on a typewriter. He moves his words like a prize fighter. So it's not like, a fully out there sort of thing. But like it feels like the creative process to me, where it's like, it talks about the disconnect of like outside and inside. So like, the like looking at someone who is writing as just, this like, sort of blank slate, emotionless stare, but like inside their head, it's an explosion of color and, an explosion of creativity.
Yeah. The phrase like the frenzied face of the mind inside the cell that then goes on to like the man on the street might just as well be outside the world is directly sort of bringing that imagery of somebody's like their imagination and how any other given person is just like basically in a completely different world.
Yeah.
There's also the like chorus has the white paint plastic saints. I can't quite figure out what exactly that means other than just like general like mass produced, I don't know, not effigy, like relief of a saint, you know, a representation like a Jesus statue or something. I don't know if that directly translates to this narrative of like a writer. There's sort of this feeling of whoever the writer is in this case has something that's like bringing them anxiety to get out, that they need to say something or everything. You know, after the Plastic Saints, the instrumental actually like stops while it says like say it all, say it all, say it all, say it all, and it keeps repeating say it all as sort of like this build up of a loop of like, you know, having to say everything. And then at the end, after that, at the end of the chorus, it brings back the instruments and it says like somebody has got to say it all. Honestly, I relate to this a lot, the feeling of like wanting to make, you know, essentially like the next great American novel or whatever, you know, wanting to make this great work, but getting trapped in your own expectations or your own desire to make something grand that like you end up just getting stuck in a loop and then you kind of have to back off and maybe say like, you know, I might not have to say everything now. There's sort of... I
think Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, saying somebody has to do it both implies that anybody could, but also that somebody at some point needs to say everything. And it's sort of this part of, like, wanting to let go of, you know, making the best thing ever and still feeling like you're not fully expressing yourself.
Yeah. I think the second verse also kind of goes into that as well, where like it basically talks about what kind of sounds like a panic attack. I especially like the line of "my heart can't forget about this self-defense," where it sort of feels like, you know, it feels like the singer is basically saying like, I am going to panic, like, or like this, you know, maybe the writing is my form of coping, basically.
Yeah.
The line, I thumbed the cool blade, but I know this can't last. Don't know how to parse that one.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's there's a lot of ways you could read this as sort of somebody who has... I don't know if I should continue with this without, like, a content warning. Maybe I can put that in the description of the episode.
Yeah.
We haven't really done those before. But I feel like there's a lot of ways to read this as, like, somebody who was contemplating suicide, but didn't actually go through with it. Maybe this is, like, their you know, because the white paint, the steel-eyed tight jaw could be, like, them kind of checking in somewhere. And then he says, like, I thumbed the cool blade, but I know this can't last. Is the narrator, like, contemplating again, but using some previous techniques of being like, I know this feeling won't last forever. That sort of deliberation. The adjectives on the typewriter could be like a suicide note.
Yeah, that is a really good like interpretation too. It's sad, but like I feel like there is a lot that could support that.
Yeah. And then, you know, the man on the street just probably doesn't understand what's going on in your head or doesn't know what's going on in your head.
Yeah.
That feeling of being a stranger. It's interesting that it could very well be read both ways.
I would also like to propose the alternative reading that the white paint and plastic saints are a person who's making Warhammer figurines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
those cost so much money. It's definitely something that Cake would talk bad about because they're pretty anti-capitalist.
Speaking of
I
anti-capitalism,
am leaving Games Workshop to sell all my Warhammers. I bought the Plague Sisters, but I want to return them. I only bought some Zerg for a little kit bashing. Did I just say Zerg? I meant Orc. Whoops. That is StarCraft.
I am mixing my metaphors.
I'm mixing my drinks. I'm mixing my kits. That's called kit bashing. So anyways, next up is Short Skirt Long Jacket, the basic bitch song.
Yeah.
Because this is the song all those basic people like. No, it's a pretty good song. It's obviously why it was chosen to be the lead single and kind of why it became popular, other than it being a lead single. It's probably the most like tame and approachable song. It has like a good mix of woman empowerment, I guess. It's a love song that tries not to sexualize the target of desire.
Yeah, this was a point that you brought up when, like, in one of the earliest times that, like, I listened to this album.
The times.
In the before times. That, like, this is a love song that does not talk at all about the woman's physical appearance. It talks about, I want a girl with a short skirt and a long jacket, but, like, every positive that it talks about is about the woman's, like, personality, basically.
Personality, financial stability and success, attitude and sort of agency, importance and, like, position of power. Basically, God, how explicit do I want to get with this joke? You know what? Make up your own joke. The singer of this song wants a blank woman who has blank. And who will blank with him.
I love these. The singer of the song wants a taco woman who will Monopoly with him.
Yay! Never Monopoly with somebody. Monopoly is a good art piece, not a good game. Yeah, I have a very interesting relationship with this song. Just go to my SoundCloud Photon Punch and you'll see what I mean.
Yes. It is very good. I have also seen the interpretation that I also really like the interpretation that basically this is a song about, like, an ex-party girl who is entering the world of business. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like that's mostly supported in the final verse, where it's like, you know, she's changing her name from Kitty to Karen, trading her MG for a white Chrysler LeBaron.
Not
a
great name change nowadays. Way funnier in retrospect.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about the point I was going to make about opera singer, which is that God. Getting dressed by 10 a.m. is not impressive.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're right. That's listen. They were just 20 years ahead of their time. By quarantine, that's basically, like, standard. Okay. If you make it by 10 a.m., you're doing well in quarantine.
No, sorry, it's you're doing good in quarantine.
But yeah, no, short skirt, long jacket. It has, I think, subtle anti-capitalist vibes in the sense that, like, it is describing basically, like, what you might consider typical temp work, like, attitudes as the, like, high positives, the high praise. She is touring the facility and picking up slack. You know, she's putting up her hair, playing with the jewelry, etc. But, like, it is also just a really good, like, visual creation of this woman who is the you know, object of this person's desires, and it's just really fucking catchy too, like a lot of these songs.
Is this girl a girl boss?
Hi, welcome to Internet Theory. On today's episode, we're going to figure out if the girl from Cake's song "Short Skirt Long Jacket" would constitute a girl boss.
Top 10 girl bosses. Number 10, the girl from Short Skirt Long Jacket. I want a girl with a mind like a diamond. Wow. Sounds like he wants a girl that plays Minecraft. I dipped into Mike Matei there. I think that means it's time to move on.
Wait. Hang on. Pause. I'll have to, number 9, Chaos Witch Quaylog. Chaos Witch Quaylog is a woman top half, but her bottom half is more like a bottom 90%. Okay. Anyway.
Chills posting will never get old. You can hold me to that. So next song is Symphony in C, which is like a Borges short story. I mean, so like, it's about an Austrian nobleman commissioning a symphony in C, and that symphony is so bewildering that it does nothing but just absolutely stun and transfix everyone participating or everyone in the audience. It's like, it's shown to be this completely earth-shattering, mind-shattering, cosmic horror of a song, which is why I say it's Borgesian. I think where the song, like, finds its roots, as far as, like, any sort of messaging, is just from the line early on that says, like, it's made from money squeezed from the peasants. It's sort of, like, after that, it brings it, like, that's a line that haunts you throughout the song. It keeps reminding, like, all this weirdness and this excess, the like, Golden Palace concert halls, you know, all of this is for a symphony that will be performed for the nobleman's nephew as a present, but all of that excess is taken from, you know, money from peasants in something that only celebrates nobility, and that most likely won't be experienced by any of those peasants.
Yeah. I also like, I think that even further with that is the third verse, which is like, you know, you're sitting there thinking your thoughts. They're not about what is, but what is not. You're seldom breathing life, but mostly death. So like, it feels like it's this earth shattering, you know, absolute masterpiece of a song, but all you, the Austrian nobleman, has squeezed the money from the peasants, can think about is all the ways the song is bad. All you can think about is what isn't in the song that maybe you, like, wanted to be there. So, like, even though it's a, you know, it's the curse of, like, cherry pie, of, like, it's the most biggest masterpiece that you will be known for, and all you can think about is how much you don't like it.
Wait, cherry pie, like the song?
Yes, the creator of the song Cherry Pie fucking hated it.
Oh, so it's like Modest Mouse, where they, like, never perform Dashboard.
Ah.
But they will perform Cowboy Dan, which is a good song. So, yeah, Symphony in C, I also just like the imagery of, like, the concert hall being warm and golden like an oven that's wide open, which,
yeah,
I think it makes the warmness feel hostile. Like, you know, you don't want to put anything in an open oven without proper protection, kids. You know, use some oven mitts or something.
Always put on protection before handling an oven.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good advice.
You don't want to get burned, but these are these are people who are cooking themselves, if you will. Just for listening to this symphony they might not even like. I can't help but thinking of, like, a very anachronistic picture of, like, the nephew sitting front row just looking at it like a phone. Like, obviously there's no phones in the time where an Austrian nobleman would squeeze money from the peasants to commission a symphony in C, but I like to imagine the nephew isn't interested. It seems like giving it to the nephew as a present is an afterthought. Like, the fact that it's a symphony in C is much more crucial to the drive. Also,
this is for the nobles, the other nobles. It's just, the excuse is it's for my nephew.
Yeah. What's also interesting is that, like, the qualities of the symphony are so heavily emphasized, like the impact it has on the audience, but that's not directly due to the noble. That's due to the composer that was commissioned.
Yeah.
So, like, it's giving, like, a lot of credit to the noble through the lyrics, when that credit should be handed elsewhere, which is fitting, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super. It also, this is one of the songs that is the most prevalent in terms of its keyboard usage. The chorus, after he says, like, commissioning a symphony in C, it then goes into sort of a portion where the keyboard becomes the main melody, and then all the other instruments taper off as the keyboard kind of ends the chorus.
Yeah, I think I want to say this has the most keyboard use. I would have to sort of, like, re-listen to everything in my head to like confirm that, but I think it is fitting that, like, the keyboard is heavily featured when I think theoretically, like, the only instrument, or one of the only instruments that would theoretically actually be in the symphony would be a piano.
Yeah, there'd probably be some horns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Shadow Stabbing has some keyboard as well. Sort of has that, the more muted electric keyboard sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comfort Eagle?
Arco Arena, actually, which I guess we already talked about. But I just wanted to add on that my phone auto-corrected this to Taco Arena. Alright, so Comfort Eagle.
Release the Taco Arena cut, you you cowards.
You swine. So Comfort Eagle might be my favorite song of the album. There's a lot of good songs on the album, but Comfort Eagle is great. It is grand and big and intimidating. It's sort of like 300 megabytes off Mouth Moods, in that it's trying to present itself as larger than it is.
I mean, the opening lyrics are, they have this effect where it sounds like they're yelled from from like a megaphone.
Yeah.
Like that just immediately puts you on edge of, like, this is a massive song.
It starts with the line, "We are building a religion." So this song does not have a lot of singing necessarily. That probably sounds stupid in, like, bad music theory. But, I mean, like, this is a song that really puts the singer John McCrae in more of a, like, poetry reading, like, spoken word form.
Yeah,
because
if you're familiar with the Distance, it is very much in that style, much more than a lot of the other songs in the album.
Right, because this song is trying to mimic, like, either a salesman or a televangelist in terms of tone and delivery. Like, shouting out to a huge stadium, sort of.
Yeah.
The lyrics themselves, they're sort of, again, this is mainly about sort of entertainment, whatever industry. There's a lot of examples where this is directly related to the music industry, especially because the radio is a repeated motif. You know, there's repeated, like, calls that are like, "We're now accepting callers," either for keychains or to sing along. And then there's the bit about, like, the radio DJ says democracy is a joke.
Yes, the wacky morning DJ says democracy's a joke. Oh god.
I love that. So there's sort of, for one thing, this is kind of prescient because I'm pretty sure this kind of predated the like iHeartRadio radio station buyouts.
Yeah,
which, might get us pulled from iHeartRadio's podcasting platform. But
no.
In case you don't know, most music stations in America are owned by, like, a few companies. The main exceptions are, like, college radio stations, and then some more independent ones here and there. But iHeartRadio is one of the biggest conglomerates, and part of what this means is that a lot of those stations have the same set lists. If you're unaware, like, radio stations, they have a list of songs they're allowed to use, and then they also create set lists for a given block of time. We know this because we were in a radio broadcasting class in high school.
Yes.
But so, that's sort of a big reason why people complain about, like, current era radio stations not being able to support new artists, is because a lot of times they're only allowed to use the, like, iHeartRadio music selection, which then only comes from, like, the major labels, which is why you don't hear a lot of, like, smaller things on the larger radio stations. A lot of times the more independent artists are on, like, college stations, because those are independent from the, like, corporations.
Yeah, it's a massive feedback loop of, like, they only want to play the songs that are popular, so they only play songs from proven artists. So no anybody who isn't a proven artist can't really break through. And, thus, because they only play the songs from proven artists, it just kind of makes them more popular. Repeat.
Yeah.
It's the standard cycle of capitalism, basically.
Right. And so the song Comfort Eagle, it really feels like it's sort of in that position of like the radio plays what they want you to hear, to quote another band. And in this case, the radio DJ is in on it. He's like saying like, woohoo, democracy's a joke. Coming up next is Maroon 5.
Yeah.
Additionally, I do think it's funny that like preceding this is like some people drink Pepsi, some people drink Coke, which is brand loyalty distilled into a very, very basic and realistic perspective of, personal preference. And then it throws in this like democracy's a joke. Like, are you supposed to take it as that is a joke? Does the radio DJ really mean that? Is it referring to like lobbyists waving money around in front of, lawmakers? And in that case, is the radio itself part of that? Cough, RAAA, cough.
Yeah. So my interpretation is that this is a song that is effectively about what would then be upcoming replacing of basically, democracy and politics with just sort of corporate interests, in the sense that like I think this like it is about the music industry. I feel like it's about sort of a lot of other industries. I feel like that specific line to me reads as like, some people drink Pepsi, some people drink Coke. The Wacky Morning DJ says democracy is a joke. So to me, that like reads as the opinions that matter are the ones that relate to brands. The opinions that don't matter are the ones of people actually trying to affect like the real world. Because brands have effectively supplanted the politics of today. It is you do not affect change without convincing the brands, the modern day religions to do it.
Or at least like profit is what drives change on a greater level, because that's what brands and companies respond to.
Yeah. I got a L'Oreal ad that was like, we've been fighting for gay rights since 2018. And I was just like, really? 2018? 3 whole years? Wow. You couldn't have, interesting that you waited until not only was it legal, but like legal long enough that it probably wouldn't become illegal for you to boldly support the gays.
Yeah. So there is a figure that the song refers to, a mysterious he. There's a lot of lines referring to him in this case, like his hat is on backwards, he's wearing tattoos, he's calling you dude is the line that's repeated the most. But then also there's things like he handles the money, he serves the food, you can meet at his location, but you better come with cash. It's like a shady executive figure. Somebody that handles money, gives you food or caters, I guess, but is trying to act all chummy, look like he's one of the every people. He's got a backwards cap, he's sitting backwards in the chair, saying, so you're here to talk about some changes to your body. You get the idea. Sort of a how do you do, fellow kids.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's how do you do, fellow working class artists.
Honestly, this basically predicted like the Silicon Valley tech bros to me.
Yeah, that too.
Comfort
Eagle Man fired from Blizzard. I don't know if that's a good joke or not to make, but
oh goodness,
yeah.
I think the more realistic joke would be that Blizzard accepts Comfort Eagle Man as new CEO.
There we go. Yeah, the other thing is that, so there's one more line that's repeated in like the quote-unquote chorus. Song structure is kind of loose in this song, which is, do you believe in the one true sign or the one big sign? I think there's 2 things this could refer to. One is the obvious big sign, the Hollywood sign. One of the most I don't want to say one of the most publicized American landmarks, but in a way, kind of. It might not be the Statue of Liberty, but I feel like I've seen the Hollywood sign more than the Washington Monument or the Arch or Mount Rushmore. It's another instance of religion being equated to the entertainment industry. Also, though, it could be referring to billboards, or specifically Billboard, the sign that kind of controls music, whether or not something is popular or not, whether or not something is alternative, whether something is gold or platinum or dirt, that billboard.
Yeah. I really liked that interpretation. That's really good. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
This also, I will talk more about this like specific style in "Love You Madly," which is my favorite song. But one of my favorite lines is, and the fluffy white lines that the airplane leaves behind are drifting right in front of the waning of the moon. There's a idiom, a metaphor that they use multiple times throughout the album that is effectively like the artifice of today is covering up the natural beauty, basically.
Pollution.
And I feel like, again, I will get more into this in Love You Madly, which has my favorite line, but that is one of my favorite lines of, like, you know, the airplane chemtrail, you know, the airplane, like, stream is covering the moon, so the you know, when I think of airplane in this context, I imagine like those airplanes that like fly, you know, signs around or whatever for advertising.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's time for my airplane stream. Today we're going to Brazil. No, yeah. I think it's funny because if you were to just say like the fluffy white lines drifting in front of the waning of the moon, that sounds beautiful. But you just mention an airplane, and it's like, fucking airplanes! Like, it goes from the DreamWorks logo to the DreamWorks logo.
Go ahead and put that on as number, like, 2 of top best moments from Net Surfer Pro.
Number 2. Fucking airplanes. Oh, man. Yeah, Comfort Eagle is a very dense song. Next up
it's very good. If you listen to any song, probably listen to the title track.
Yeah. Also listen to the title track by the band Origami Kings. That's a good song. So Long Line of Cars, to me, is about global warming. Or at least pollution. So the Long Line of Cars is a sort of premise of a long line of cars. Nobody knows where they're going or where they came from, and they're all just completely backed up. Nobody knows how the long line started or how long it will go on, but there is a pressing desire that's mentioned multiple times to continue and make sacrifices. There's like keep the traffic flowing and accept a little sin, and then later that turns into keep the fire burning and accept a little gray. The little gray could be both like a gray zone or ash.
Yeah.
So, the usage of cars immediately brings to mind the automotive industry, which in turn fuel and oil. But then also, a lot of the lyrics are about this, like, passing the buck of responsibility. So, it's like, you know, we've got to keep this flowing. We don't know where it's going or where we've been. But then, finally, in the last chorus, it says the long line of cars is all because of me. So this is sort of like, Meanwhile, Rick James, where, like, it's a shift of blame at the last second that recontextualizes the song. In this case, it's about how, like, the long line of cars, it's not something communally that happened. It's mainly because of a few specific interests, and they're trying to get other people to share the blame. And I'm just thinking about that TikTok where it's like, how can you prevent global warming? All right, everybody, don't pour 2.4 million barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. Don't spend billions of dollars covering up scientific research papers that would prevent your profit. Metal straws.
Oh my god. I had never seen that one, but that's great.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I also got this interpretation from you that it's about the economy.
That too.
Yeah, of like, I feel like that sort of also has some, you know, weight in that it's like, this long line of cars that we don't know where it's going or remember where we've been, but what we know is that it has to keep on moving. And in the year of our Lord 2020, we saw the effects of what happens when it doesn't keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw what happens when a few interests override the well-being of tens of millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, yeah, I really like... it feels very much at the very core of it. It is like the communal blame for the actions of just a couple people. You know, don't fuck with anyone who ever says, like, oh, humanity is fucking up the planet. Humanity isn't fucking up the planet. A couple, like a very
companies?
small, a small handful of individuals and, you know, stockholders and executives are fucking up the planet, and then telling all of us, like, hey, we need to get rid of plastic straws to save the environment. Like, we are not culpable for climate change. You can and should do individual things to help with climate change. You should recycle. You should, you know, try and I
was going to say there are a lot of problems with recycling, mainly that a long time the US exported their recycling, but now there's so much that nobody wants it. And also the US doesn't have the infrastructure for like recycling plants. And so a lot of actual like recycling bins, the contents of those end up going to landfill eventually, or they just sit in like a warehouse, or they sit on a barge. Barges are a big holder of plastic.
Yeah. Well, okay. Reduce, reuse, recycle is basically supposed to be in order of importance. So, like, reduce the amount of non-recyclable materials or even recyclable materials that you can use. Reuse anything that you possibly can. And then what you can't do, recycle.
Exactly.
So, like, that is good. We should be doing that as individuals. But at the same time, the bigger picture is that, like, 76%, I think was the most recent statistic, of all pollution is the fault of just a few, like, companies, just a few individuals. That is not your fault. You are not responsible for that.
Yeah, so, we're not responsible for setting the ocean on fire.
Fucking yeah.
Remember when that happened? That was like 2 weeks ago.
Fuck, that was only 2 weeks ago.
It was probably a month ago, but still. I mean, it was very recent.
Yeah, fucking, oh god. Remember at the very beginning of the pandemic when literally everybody was like, with nobody, you know, driving and whatever, like, LA is clear for the first time, and
nature is healing.
Yeah, nature is healing.
Maybe heel turning.
Heel turning right into the ocean.
Pog.
Which it has to move a lot less towards because climate change is rising the oceans. Anyway, so yes, Long Line of Cars, also a very good song, holds up very well. This entire album holds up extremely well for being 20 years old.
Yeah, that's what I'm noticing, is that this 20-year-old album was extremely prescient and very relevant to current society.
Yeah.
Love You Madly.
Love You Madly. Favorite song.
It's pretty catchy.
Yeah. So, this feels like, to me, much more of a straightforward love song. It uses the prose and the techniques that they have used throughout the album, but, like, it feels a lot more of just, like, a very genuine song.
Yeah.
Instead of sort of, like, having, you know, layers you can layer on top of it.
I think whereas Short Skirt was, like, about purposely not going into, like, the physical lust, this is more so about that. This is the exact opposite. This is, I don't care about how much money you make, I just want to love you madly.
Yeah, I love, oh god, okay, so, like, all the dishes rattle in the cupboards when the elephants arrive is such a beautiful poetic way of, like, basically saying the elephant in the room. My favorite line in the whole fucking album is the ornaments look pretty, but they're pulling down the branches of the tree. And that, like exactly what you said, that reads as the exact opposite of Short Skirt Long Jacket, where it's like the physical adornments, the facade that you put on is pretty, undeniably. but in putting it on the tree, quote unquote, it is sort of like hiding the natural raw beauty underneath it.
Right.
And so, like, yeah, I feel like that's just sort of very prevalent in the song of, like, you know, a lot of the lyrics are basically like, I don't want one extreme or the other. So, like, I don't want to doubt you, know everything about you is, you know, just a very simple example of, like, I don't want to know too little that you know, I don't know if you're genuine, but I also don't want to know literally everything about you to the point where, you know, maybe we reveal things to each other that we don't actually want each other as partners to know. That sort of thing.
I think there's something funny about that ornament line as well, because you could kind of think of it as like an admission of straying away from like purple prose, like fluttery language, like the ornaments being metaphor and simile, and it's just like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm just going to say, I want to kiss your lips.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
I think the song gets less metaphorical as it goes on. Like, that elephant thing with the dishes is the most abstract it gets. And then, like, after the branches, there's the thing about kissing lips and sinking down the bottom of the sea. After that, it's, like, very grounded.
Yeah, it's basically just, like, the one-to-one of, like, here is, when we are on a date, here is what I want us to be able to be to each other. I don't want to hold back. I don't want to, you know, have doubted myself and have, you know, fucked up, but I also don't want to, like, sit across from you and be like, oh God, I wish that I wasn't here. I just want to love you madly.
Yeah.
And boy, for a 2001 romance song, this has aged beautifully. Oh man, that is not an easy feat to be 20 years old and still be really fucking romantic. Mm-hmm. So, congrats, Cake, you did it.
Next is Pretty Pink Ribbon, which is an interesting song. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So, in some ways it feels kind of incel-y, dare I say?
Yeah.
So the song is like, without the pretty pink ribbon, you would be a piece of shit like me. But also, there is the line, without the pretty pink ribbon, you'd say just what you please. I think there's an interesting aspect of that where, like, you know, without the pretty pink ribbon, you'd be so negative and everything, nothing would go your way, but you would be free. It's an interesting view of, like, objectification, I guess.
Yeah, this feels like a song about gender issues that is effectively, like, it is talking about male gender issues, but it isn't saying, like, much like in the way that incels do, it isn't saying, like, oh, men have their problems, so women actually have it better. Like, it is using the metaphor of the pretty pink ribbon to say, like, there are things that men have to deal with that women don't, but it isn't saying, like, these are harder issues. It is still saying, like, but without that, you know, you would kill all the sick ones. You would bury them deep in the earth. Your virtues would, not your virtues would all go unknown. Like,
that is what it says. It literally says your virtues would all go unknown.
I know, but that wasn't the line I was thinking of. I was thinking of the one that you literally just said, and I was like, no, wait, wrong one.
Yep. But yeah, it's sort of just about gender roles, I guess, that the person with the pretty pink ribbon is unable to say what they please and is unable to have that, like, I don't know, agency, that, like, effect on the world of lifting a steaming herd, which sounds kind of gross, but but, like, it's saying, like, you know, to some extent, like, women have to present themselves in this way to be known. Like, without the tight little denim, your virtues would all go unknown is not lamenting that the singer is disadvantaged, but lamenting that women are disadvantaged and that they have to play this up so that they would be recognized, I guess.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it could be gender roles, but like you said, it very much also could be, like, you know, basically adorning donning this, like, making yourself pretty. Like, you have to be pretty in order to get this recognition. And so, like, it's not like being pretty or being attractive is a one gender thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it feels, again, it feels a little incel-y, but I think it manages to not go past that, because it does feel sympathetic to both the person in the pretty pink ribbon and not in the pretty pink ribbon.
Yeah. I do want to say, so go to the Genius page for this song and look at the comments, because there is a very interesting perspective from a trans woman about this song in the comments. That's all. I'm not going to like try to repeat what they said, because I can't, as far as like getting it accurate, but do that. I recommend it.
Yeah, Pretty Pink Ribbon. Oh, again, honestly, for a 20-year-old song, like, that is tackling these sorts of issues, it is still very, like, good and very even-handed,
yeah,
dare I say.
I think it's a little complicated nowadays, but it's okay.
Yeah. It is more complicated in retrospect with modern problems,
Mm-hmm.
but, like, it is still a very interesting song that is worth, like, we aren't canceling Cake, basically, is the shorthand of it.
Whew, good. My birthday actually already happened, so I guess I'm fine without cake, but next birthday I better have some cake. So the last song on the album is World of Two. It's a very calm song, kind of just a like a denouement, I guess. Kind of winding down. Pretty Pink Ribbon, the chorus is very much like a crescendo. Like, it really builds up in power during the chorus. So this is kind of just like I said, winding down, dying down. It's like the dimming of a candle.
Yeah, a lot of the other songs have, bass lines. This this has, like, bass. It has, a nice baritone to it, that isn't like, you don't hum the bass line to World of Two.
Is it in 3/4?
Although you can hum the medley.
I don't think it's in 4/4.
I don't really like to. I think it is in 3/4.
Nice.
Or maybe like 6/8. I don't know. Which I think is 3/4, but I don't know music.
Yeah. Don't ask me. I feel like this one's kind of straightforward. The like premise of this is that it's sort of a breakup song from the perspective of the person who like wanted to break up, and it's sort of saying like in your world of two there's only room for you. So it's like you wanted a relationship but you didn't want an even relationship, that this person they were with was putting too much of themselves and not caring about the narrator.
Interesting.
That's sort of the reading I got.
Yeah, I read this as, I kind of read this even more straightforward, that it's about being the third wheel.
True.
Like,
are we allowed to say
like
that C word? I was going to say it about the Rick James song as well, but I don't know if I should.
I don't actually know which one you're talking.
It starts with a C. And
yes.
It rhymes with, fuck. I'm of course talking about Choir Truck.
A man who speaks the word fuck starts with a C. The fuck.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like it could be that. It could be about a multiple system. I don't know.
Yeah, could be about polyamory.
Could be.
We don't know.
Maybe it's
about the third of a polyamorous relationship feeling like the other two are actually monogamous and feeling left out.
Yeah, which is essentially third wheeling. But yeah, I mean, at least the like breakup part seems accurate.
Yeah,
that the person, the narrator likes this other person, but there's something that prevents them from wanting to continue the relationship.
Yeah. It is a very chill song. It is a really good song to like cruise out of the album with.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just, it's nice sort of calm music, basically, which, a lot of this album, you can just, like, a lot of this album is very good, but I wouldn't describe a lot of it as calm, quote unquote. This feels calm to me.
Yeah, I think what I like about this album is that there's a lot of different energy and vibes, to use modern terms. Like, you have these very manic songs like Comfort Eagle or Shadow Stabbing, which is, I guess, also kind of mellow, but there's mellow songs like Symphony in C or Long Line of Cars. You have kind of upbeat songs like Love You Madly and Short Skirt. And then, yeah, you have something like this or Rick James, which are just kind of quieter songs.
Yeah. It's a very big range.
Yeah. I do think the album structure is really, really well done. There's something to be said about just like a well-ordered album. That's kind of why I wanted to emphasize how Opera Singer starts off as like an intro, because I think, so like in terms of albums, there's like a scale between like just a collection of greatest hit songs and rock opera, where one side has no sort of significant structure beyond money, and the other side is completely based around structure tying in with something else. American Idiot is an example of a song where the structure is very important to it because of the story it's telling. You could think of just other rock operas like Tommy or Quadrophenia, I guess, the other Who rock opera, The Wall. Those all use structure to their advantage very, very, very deliberately. And then you have, like I said, greatest hits albums where like it's more about just including the songs than it is about having them in an order that's well paced. This is a very good sort of middle point of the songs don't necessarily blend into each other, but they are arranged in a good pace that mixes up the tone and the mood a lot. It uses, so like I think something good is that Arco Arena comes right before Comfort Eagle being this very explosive song, and Arco Arena being this sort of midway checkpoint where it builds up the tension into Comfort Eagle just due to sort of the way it's, I don't know, the key and everything. It sounds like it's preparing for something, but it's also a bit of a breather.
Yeah, like looking at sort of the structure, if I were to plot this, it has a very like up down, but like it is up down, but it is still building. So like Opera Singer to Rick James is down a little bit. Shadow Stabbing is up higher than Opera Singer. Short Skirt, Long Jacket is a little bit down, I think, but like still higher than Opera Singer. Or wait, no, hang on.
I think Short Skirt is like one of the peaks of the album.
Yeah.
It is the highest it gets.
It gets higher from Shadow Stabbing, but then it goes back down a bit for Symphony in C. And then, like Comfort Eagle, if it came immediately next, would be this big crescendo. But like Arco Arena helps very much bridge that gap. And then it's, a little bit, lower with Long Line of Cars. Love You Madly picks it back up. Pretty Pink Ribbon is still up, but it's, a little bit lower. And then World of Two cruises you on down.
Yeah, it's a nice arcing structure. The type that is seemingly, I don't know, so oddly common in narratives.
Yeah.
People
it's a
like,
bell curve.
Right, yeah, it's a double bell curve. It's a camel curve. Sine wave, maybe. It's an up, down, left, right, left, right.
BA start.
Yes.
Oh shit, we unlocked the third character.
It's Donut.
Hey guys, I'm Donut. Get out of here, Donut. We're exiting this bit.
We're doing cake. Hey, you said you doing cake?
Not you, Devil Food Cake.
Aw. I'll go
back to room 4.
I'm gonna go back to where Pie is.
Pi is just a room that you open. It's a guy who's counting down the digits of pi still to this day, trying to find the end.
It's Sho Minamimoto from the hit video game The World Ends With You. Yeah, I think, again, Comfort Eagle it holds up really well, which I was surprised about, but, in a pleasant surprise. It's just got good songs. If you don't listen to a whole lot of Cake, then I would still recommend it, because it has some great things. I kind of happened on it just because it had Short Skirt Long Jacket, and I was like, oh, I like that song. It was at a time where I was like really starting to expand my musical tastes, and so this was just one thing where I was like, I like one song, I kind of like their style, I like horns, and they use horns, or specifically trumpet, and I'm pretty like glad that I got this album. I was never a big fan of Cake the band, like in general, but I do really like this album.
Yeah. I haven't listened to much other Cake, so I can't say they're like one of my favorite bands, but this is an exceptionally good album that I think very much holds up modernly for both the style, the themes, and it has no small amount of that anti-capitalist messaging in there that is hip with the teens currently.
Yeah, but it's nothing compared to Unhappy Refrain, which is the last album I bought on iTunes before buying music on CDs.
Nice.
Unhappy Refrain's great. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for us then. Thank you for listening. Yep. You can follow us on social media at Twitter at NetSurferPro. You can send us recommendations for things you want us to cover or things we might like, things you like too. Give us comments, give us stuff like that. You can also follow us on whatever podcasting platform. Yes, I'm not going to repeat myself. And you can give us ratings and reviews there. Anything you add would help us out a whole lot. You can follow me on Twitter at Matt Craig Gaming. I almost forgot my Twitter handle. I am kind of out of it. Where I tweet out sort of what I'm doing, what I've got going on, what is on the horizon, what I've been thinking about, what I've been playing, and when I go live on my stream, which I stream at twitch.tv/twack. That's twitch.tv/TWAK. I stream on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday from 1 p.m. Central Time to about 3 or 4 p.m. Central Time. I stream a mix of roguelites, competitive games, speedruns, puzzle games, kind of just a whole range of things. So if any of that sounds interesting, check it out. It's always fun, always analytical, always wacky and wild. And as of the time this episode will go out, I have a charity stream on the 19th of August in which I will be playing Fortune Street. I am raising money for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, a cause that's very near and dear to me. And for every $50 I raise, I'll increase the amount of money I need to beat the game of Fortune Street, meaning it will go longer and be much more painful. So, if you are willing to support a good cause and interested in some fun gameplay, check that out.
Hell yeah. You can find me on Twitter and on TikTok at Galen Wilson. That is at GalenWills0N. I post my hot takes and occasionally might post a video every once in a while. So, check that out. You can find me on Twitch at Machine Gun Vampire. I'm probably not going to stream anything anytime soon, so go check out Matt instead. But you can check out my YouTube at The Only Galen on YouTube. I have very recently happened to upon a short game that I might actually make a video of because it shouldn't be too terribly long to do so. So keep an eye out for that. With that, my dog would like to say thank you very much for listening.
See ya. Now pet the dog.